It's like 500 stones, episode 18. We got Scott, Harvey, and he really likes talking about music, yeah, baby. Arcade Fire. As long as I'm concerned, you're just another picture bird. Yeah, we should be talking about that song today, but we're not.
I love that song. But welcome back to Like 500 Stones, everybody. Brooklyn Vale and I, Andrew James Barr, are back. Brooklyn, I think last week went really well, but you know what? You know what we need? We need a little,
Cowbell?
Yeah, exactly.
Cowbell?
Hey, Scott Harvey, do you have a cowbell?
Am I the human cowbell? Is that how I'm supposed to interpret this?
Maybe.
We have fevers, and the only description.
No, I don't have one. I didn't get that memo. Sorry.
All right, great. But Scott Harvey is back, everybody. Scott was on our second episode, and we figured that we needed his expert opinion back again. We had a great time with him last time. So Scott, have you checked the list beforehand? Have you studied, or are you going in blind this time? What's going on?
Well, first I want to say that the only reason I'm back is because Andrew asked me. If Brooklyn had asked me, I would have said no after his Thunder Road take from last episode. I think I that is unforgivable. But no, I have looked at the list and I'm very excited. I think obviously you're in the top 75 songs now, so you expect them to be mostly bangers. And I mean, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna have many hot takes tonight. Like most of these songs are very, very good.
First of all, I want to say thank you because you're right about Brooklyn Thunder Road Take. I'm so happy that
Very, very
somebody
good.
is.
Yeah. I'll gladly die on that hill.
All right. Well, I want to make a joke, but I probably shouldn't, out of fear that someone will accuse me of looking at this list beforehand.
Like you haven't been accused of that before, like at least a dozen, maybe 10 times, we'll say.
I still stand by the fact that I am being falsely persecuted for something that I have said openly multiple times I have not done. With that being said,
I did not look at the list. I did not.
I did not. With that being said, we're going to move into the list. So last time we left off, we were at number 76, which is "I Walk the Line" by Johnny Cash. Scott, I'm sure you've heard this song before.
Cash rules everything around us. No, yeah, this is a great song. Probably not my personal Johnny Cash pick, but I mean, being a Tennessean, I have an affinity for some country music, especially the classic stuff. So this is a good one, but I don't think it should be the highest rated one on the list from him.
Fair enough. With that, we're going to move into this section of the list, starting with number 75, "Common People" by Pulp. I'm going to start us off with this one. This thing's great. It's got a great kind of snarky wit to it that I really enjoy. Basically, it's about this guy who meets this girl, but she's a little bit more upper class, and she's kind of just is in love with this idea of doing what common people do. And one of the things is taking her to a grocery store. But it's got this great energy and this just I'd have a hard time actually talking about this one. Brooklyn, what do you say?
Hey Mom, do we have any Arcade Fire at home? We don't, but we have something a little pulpier. Okay, cool. No, this is great. It's hard to, I will say during this song, it's hard to not kind of instantly mash it up with "Pop Goes the World." It has that same kind of vibe, but I feel similar to this song how Ted Mosby feels with the word "bowl." Common people just kind of it kind of sounds different after hearing this song. It's great. I love I think Pulp will now officially take over Yellow Card as my favorite band with a violin in it. Just they sneak it in there quite nicely. And then yeah, there was some viewing material that we had to watch for this, and that version is incredible. You want to hear 15,000 people screaming the chorus of this song, and it works.
Yeah, honestly, that live version is amazing. Scott, you seemed very excited when this song came up.
Yeah, I mean, I provided said viewing material. I will just say ahead of time, it's a slight spoiler too for a song coming later, but it just so happens that uh, two of the three songs that I regularly consider to be my favorite song of all time are featured in tonight's list, and one of them is Common People. Um, this song is incredible. This album, Different Class by Pulp, is incredible. I mean, as the title implies, it is about being middle class and just trying to survive, basically. And the people in this band that's one of the reasons I wanted y'all to watch the video too. Like the band members themselves do not look like rock stars. Jarvis Cocker, if people are familiar with him, it's probably because he was in a Harry Potter movie. But he looks like basically a college professor. He's the front man of Pulp. And but he absolutely, leaves it all out there. He rocks. And this song, yeah, like you said, Bar, it's basically this odyssey about, um, a woman who wants to sort of try on being middle class, like it's trendy, like it's hip, like honestly, it's something you could see people doing today in like the Instagram era and everything. Um, but
I mean, you're not wrong.
Jarvis Cocker, yeah, being like the guy who actually lives through this is like, are you sure this is what you really want? But also it kind of emboldens people of the middle class and working class and everything, um, as well. And the whole album again is about the experience of being part of the social hierarchy. And it's got great songwriting, and yeah, like the song just has a propulsive, force to it that just keeps going for it's over 6 minutes long. Um, and that
And
live
it doesn't
version,
feel like that.
no, it doesn't. The live version is from Reading Festival in 2011. That's the one you should look up if you want to go watch the one that we're talking about. But yeah, like people, when they talk about Britpop, it's always like Blur or Oasis. And if you ask me, it's Pulp, and then those other bands are further down the list. This is again my favorite song possibly, and top 10 album as well for me.
I will
Scott, are
say,
you trying to
Scott,
say that Wonderwall is not automatically in your top 10 songs of all time?
Um, Not top 10, not top 100, not top 1,000. I can keep
Oh,
going.
all right.
I will say
That's
that
fair.
this did beat out Wonderwall. Wonderwall was on the last episode, so
As it should be. I believe on Pitchfork this was either the number 1 or number 2 song of the 90s for what that's worth.
eh, I can see it. Let's move on to number 74, Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen. Brooklyn, what are your thoughts on this one?
So yeah, good Canadian boy Leonard Cohen. It was oddly refreshing to go back to the original just because of how much this has been covered. Leonard Cohen has one of the more unique deliveries of any vocalist. Like he gets compared a lot to Bob Dylan, but it's much more like monotone. Um, I think where this works is the chorus, how they kind of leave the verses as like just kind of him and the keys, and then everybody comes in. Um, Everybody comes in for that big part, and I love the harmonies that they kind of fill together. But we talk about lyrics that grab you right away. I heard there was the chord that David played that David played in The Police of Lord. I think everybody just kind of knows that. But yeah, I'll read it again. It's been covered to death. But this one, not necessarily the greatest, but definitely the top three.
Scott.
I mean, I think it might be the greatest. And I think one thing you forget about this version too is the choir in the chorus, because like not a lot of covers have that. It's more just like totally stripped back and acoustic with some of the famous covers like the Jeff Buckley version. But yeah, I don't know, it adds like a fullness of sound to it that I really appreciate. And yeah, the lyrics, like, they're thinkers. I don't know that I've pieced through every single thing he's trying to say here, but the song is, there's a lot going on there. But it's also, just very memorable, and his voice has like a haunting tone to it that I think fits the lyrics really well. So it's an iconic song and deserves a spot on this list.
I'm glad he brought up the Jeff Buckley version, because I think this is probably like arguably one of the most covered songs of all time. And I think a lot of people tend to cover the Jeff Buckley version. I kind of prefer this one. It's a lot fuller, it's a lot richer. Not to say the Jeff Buckley version is bad by any means. The Jeff Buckley version is amazing, but there's just something euphoric about this version of the song, which I think a lot of other versions tend to forget to do, especially with that choir that you brought up. But it's also just Leonard Cohen's voice has such a thick denseness to it that rings emotionally, and it's just this moment of heartbreak and just utter frustration with everything, but knowing that there's some peace somewhere, and it just finding that hallelujah. It is such a powerful emotional piece that really resonates. I love this version. As I said before, I highly respect the Jeff Buckley version, but this is my personal favorite version. So I'm happy that this is the one that made the list, considering we've seen a couple different cover versions as well as the original version pop up.
There's also like a reworded version for any of the good Catholic kids that are listening to this. With it's kind of like it's like Easter week, like Palm Sunday, Good Friday, or whatever. I've seen people reword the verses to kind of fit with like Jesus died on the cross or whatever. It's a really beautiful version. But yeah.
Send that to me later. As we move into number 73, Formation by Beyonce. Yes, Mr. Producer Man, we will be careful what we say here. We understand the power of the Bayhive. So I'll start us off with this one. I've talked before a little bit about how I highly respect Beyonce. I wouldn't call myself like a super fan, but I do like her. Lemonade is one of the best albums of the 2010s, though. Hands down. It is one of the best albums of the 2010s, and this is the weakest song on that album. It is the weakest song on that album. There are so many other songs that could have been from that album that could have been on this list. I like this song a lot. I do. I think it's got a great power to it. The drive is fantastic. Beyonce sounds incredible on here. It's just not my favorite. I think the production, I don't really care for that much. I think it's a little cluttered, a little tight. And I like bits and pieces of this song more than the song as a whole. But if I was going to pick a Lemonade song here, I would pick Sandcastles. I'd pick 6-Inch Heels. I would probably even pick Don't Hurt Yourself or Sorry. So I'm okay with it being on the list, but there are other songs from that particular album I think are better than this one. Scott.
I don't agree. I think this song is great. I'm not the biggest Beyonce fan either. But number one, this song was like a cultural moment when it happened on the Super Bowl. We all remember it. And
This is true.
Number two, it's just kind of a different style from Beyonce. I mean, it is a lot more hip hop influence. Like expecting to hear just that really sort of pristine R&B pop from Beyonce, because that's what she, made her name off of. But she's really like harkening back to her Southern roots, and like it has like a Southern hip hop feel to it, like this entire song. And it's got like, bouncy production, like it's upbeat, it's fun. Like, I don't know, I feel like it's just a lot of things that a lot of Beyonce's music usually isn't, for me at least, and why it doesn't always work for me. So I think the song was like a breath of fresh air when it came out, and it still feels that way.
Brooklyn, before I go to you, I do want to say I feel like you make a great point with the Super Bowl performance, Scott. I feel like if it wasn't for that, and if it wasn't for the fact that I think this was like the first single released from the album, that's probably what gave it the impact that propelled it this high on this list. I think without those, it may still make the list, but maybe not this high, personally. What are your thoughts, Brooklyn?
So I haven't gotten around to like eliminating the full record. This production style, it leans on a lot of things that I hated that were going on and around this time in pop, like 808 drum kits and like that big sort of like booming bass that doesn't really have a lot of like instrumentation, I guess you would say. The first verse of this, I was like, dang, this kind of sucks. But then we get to the second. I think the second verse is kind of where it's at. My favorite line in this is definitely the "You just might be a black Bill Gates in the making because I slay. I just might be a black Bill Gates in the making." But I like you guys talked about the Super Bowl performance, and I got to there, and I don't like how repetitive the chorus is. Like, all right, ladies, let's just get in formation. And I don't get like the build to it and whatnot. I'm probably a little bit of an old grumpy person in the corner. I love it. I love her R&B because she's really good at it. And then yeah, it's just not necessarily a Beyonce problem. I think for me, it's just a matter of like what was happening at the time and the trends that people were trying to catch.
Fair enough. I do recommend listening to the full album, though, Brooklyn. It is an amazing album. As we move on to number 72, Yesterday by the Beatles. The first one, I think, that probably was on the original, the 2010 list, at least. Scott, what are your thoughts on this song?
I feel like Common People was probably on there somewhere. But
I'm about to look up. Find out.
Yeah, I mean, and Hallelujah. But I mean, yeah, Yesterday, come on. This is, either this or Let It Be are like the quintessential Beatles ballad. And it's such a simple song. Like, again, it's what the Beatles do so well is, lyrically, there are very few of their songs that are like, rewriting how to do a song. It's just that they are so good at this straightforward style. And obviously they are doing more experimental stuff with, sonically, at least with some of their albums. But I mean, I just think this is when they're at their best, when they can just strip everything back, and it's just a simple song about longing for yesterday, longing for the past, and what has passed. And Paul McCartney's voice is beautiful on the song. It's just one of those songs, when it comes on, you just stop and kind of listen and experience it. And it again, I'm very confused by what they did on this list with Beatles songs. I'm not going to say anything more than that because you're still getting there, but this one feels like it should be higher, in my opinion.
Brooklyn?
I think
you seem like you have something to say.
No, I think this one should be lower. We talked last week about Hey Jude and how I used to think that was a Paul song, but that is much more Beatles than I initially kind of led on to be. This is a Paul song, very much a Paul song. They market this with him on the guitar and the strings and whatnot. It's beautiful, but I've said before, like, I love the Beatles when all four of them are together. You're talking about ballads, and if there was one that I could throw on here in place of that, I think Blackbird kind of needs to be on here. the guitar on there is incredible, and I think there's something haunting about the lyrics, like but yeah, no, this one also kind of got killed because we tried to play this in band, and this would have been like grade 9, grade 10, and I hadn't heard the version before, so I just have the memory in my head of just us butchering the song because we tried to do it like a couple of keys lower, and I wasn't able to kind of attach that to the original. But yeah, no, this should be much lower, like 150s.
Fuck you, Brooklyn. No, this song deserves to be in the top 100. How dare you? How dare you, sir? This is my favorite Beatles song of all time. However, I do think that Blackbird may inch its way onto the list next time this list comes out. I would not be shocked at all, actually. But this song is just beautiful, beautiful earnestness and wistfulness, and it is just the most pure version of that. It's one of the most beautiful melodies that Paul's ever created. And as our producer man brought up, fun fact, this was when he created the song, he was originally writing it as scrambled eggs. Kind of funny. But yeah, no, I think that this is just one of the most gorgeous songs ever created. According to my my fact checker, this was number 13 on the list last time. So
what happened?
Yeah.
They hated the Danny Boyle movie that much, I guess.
Hey, look, people have different film tastes.
Although they did get something right in that movie. Hey Jude should have definitely been called Hey Dude.
Oh my God, Brooklyn! I'm so mad. Yeah. But I did check. Scott, Common People and Hallelujah, both not on the list last time.
What in the world?
Hallelujah is a shocker. Knowing
where that
is
surprising.
I don't. I mean, maybe the Jeff Buckley version was there, but the Leonard Cohen version apparently was not. However, another song that was on the list last time. Thank you to my my list checker. Fast Car by Tracy Chapman at number 71. Brooklyn, this seems like a you song. What are your thoughts?
Very much a you song. As this was coming up, I was kind of shocked that this is from the 80s because I remember this as like a very like 90s kind of one hit wonder.
Yeah, right.
The guitar in this is very catchy. And then you get to the chorus, like I remember you were driving in your car. It just has that like you kind of how you guys feel about Yesterday. I have that feeling with Fast Car. Like I'd love to hear this live, like in a kind of in a more somber setting. But yeah, no, it's just really cool.
Yeah, no, this song is gorgeous. Tracy Chapman, first of all, sounds incredible on this song. Like you can feel the emotion like surging through her body as she's singing some of these lyrics, especially the verse when everything starts to fall apart. Because this is like a great story song about like these two people in a relationship, and just like the beginning of just her wanting to run away from this life that she's kind of feels stuck in. And then towards the end of this relationship, you find that she just feels that she's stuck with somebody who is now passionless, doesn't have any drive, things like that. And just like that need of freedom and escape. And this metaphor of a fast car is just the perfect thing lyrically. It's one of the best written songs I think I've ever heard. And the instrumentation and the production are fantastic, especially the drums leading into the chorus, just that simple bang on the snare. It's just a beautiful sounding song with incredible lyrics and one of the best performances of a song I've ever heard in my life. Scott, what about you?
Yeah, it's a great song. It's a very sad song. Like this is the song you listen to after your sports teams lose in crushing fashion. But no, Tracy Chapman has like a very unusual voice. Like it really draws you in. It grabs your attention. It's a lot. She sings in a much lower register than you would expect from a female. And so for that reason alone, it's compelling. But then, yeah, the storytelling and everything that's going on here, it's very evocative and. Yeah, again, sonically not doing anything like fancy, no bells and whistles, but that's not what the song calls for. So I think it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. A very straightforward song. And I love that. As we move into number 70, Suspicious Minds by Elvis Presley. I'm going to let Brooklyn go first because I know his opinions on one Elvis Senior Presley.
So as we've been coming up to this list, I'm getting a little more and more scared. I'm gonna reveal my hand. We should be seeing I Can't Help Falling in Love with You. That's one that we should be seeing hopefully soon. But it's a good song. It's okay. It's good for what it's doing, but Elvis Presley is not the best part of this. I love the double time drums in this. The horns in this are great. It's kind of reminiscent of like Jimmy Buffett or like a lot more of those like grander styles. But yeah, I don't initially think of this. This doesn't scream Elvis, which is maybe a good thing. Kind of similar to how we were talking about like Kashmir with Led Zeppelin or like Rocket Man with Elton John. If you don't like these guys, this is probably going to be one of your favorite songs of theirs. But yeah.
Scott, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, Elvis is a respect more than I love artist. I don't like have his songs on repeat or anything, but obviously, a lot of what we consider modern rock music would not exist without him. So I acknowledge and appreciate that. And yeah, this song is good. I mean, we talked about it with Hallelujah a little bit, but I think the backup singers like really add something to this. And I kind of forgotten that was an element of the song. But it's a song that it's a song that everyone knows. Like that first line, "We're caught in a trap," like, one of the more famous opening lines in a song. And his voice sounds a little different than usual. Like I don't know if I can pinpoint exactly what it is, but I don't know. You do get the sense maybe he's feeling this one a little bit more, but it's not like a favorite for me or anything. I'm not surprised to see it this high on the list, but like if we're talking subjectively, I wouldn't have had it this high.
I think this is where the peanut butter banana sandwiches, like they didn't get full force, but he was just starting to get into ooh, these are really good sandwiches.
God damn it, Brooklyn. This is my favorite Elvis song. This is absolutely my favorite Elvis song of all time. I mean, Brooklyn's probably right. We'll probably see Can't Help Falling in Love with You. We'll probably also see Always on My Mind later on down this list. But if it was to me, this would be Elvis's highest song. I love that guitar. That guitar is one of the most memorable guitar lines I've ever heard in my life. Just like ding 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 ding, just like perfect. The wall of sound production on this just sounds incredible, especially when everything is building up towards the end, and then it starts to die out, and then it starts to build back up again. I love that element of it. It's just this great sonic moment. And also, I think Scott, you're right. He does sound a lot different on this, and I think that it's less. It's somehow very showy, but less showy than a lot of other Elvis songs, where he's wailing on a lot of the songs, even in things like Heartbreak Hotel and things like his softer songs. He's very upfront in the mix, where I think that his placement in the mix in here and his delivery of the song is very different from a lot of the other songs that Elvis has ever done. And I think that's probably why he sounds so different on this one.
It's also like the end of his career, so like the probably production capabilities and everything were better than they've ever been. So he might have just been coming across more clear.
He did have that great rap battle though with Michael Jackson. that one time.
Okay, Brooklyn. So with that, we are going to move on to number 69. Nice. Taylor
Very
Swift
nice.
with All Too Well.
That's textbook pandering.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to save Scott for last. And I will go first. I don't know if I would call this Taylor Swift's best song. It's definitely top 5, maybe top 3. And depending on the day you ask me, it could be number 1. And the strength of this song is the songwriting. It is the lyrics. It's got some of my favorite lyrics in a Taylor Swift song. I'm probably paraphrasing the line, and Scott will jump all over me if I get this wrong. But it's you call me up again just to break me like a promise, so tragically cruel in the name of being honest.
Casually cruel, yeah.
That line is arguably my favorite line in any Taylor Swift song. But there's also it's a very epic song for being as, I don't want to say basic instrumentally, but it doesn't have like these epic choirs and, giant solos and things like that, but it's still just epic because of the strength of Taylor Swift's performance. You can tell that it's a very, very personal song. And I think that there's a great weight that this song carries because of her performance and the lyrics. The dancing by the refrigerator light scene, the running red light scene, song like part. It's just a fantastically written song. It's one of the best written songs of the 2010s, and I will stand by that. Brooklyn.
So yeah, I remember whenever we did like the playlist of Taylor Swift, I forgot this one, and I was kicking myself. First time I ever heard this, we were working, like, we were doing a 3-hour, not a 3-hour thing. We were at a bluegrass festival, but it was like 3 hours away on the other side of the island. And then on the first night back, we came back, and my coworker threw on this song. It was just a great song to kind of drive home to. Andrew saw the line that I was gonna use. That's a favorite line in the song. I think why it works. This song works for the same reason that Common People does. It uses that 4-chord system really well, and it just builds and builds and builds and keeps on going. But I know that Scott's going to bring this up. This should be replaced by the 10-minute version. I think the 10-minute version is I think ultimately what she was trying to do with it. And I think that might be what works better. But yeah, there's nothing else I can really say. Initially kind of compared it to Avril Lavigne in a sense, but this is far superior.
Interesting. Scott?
A lot there. No, I look, it has been a journey. It has been a journey with this song. Like, I remember this album coming out. This was my favorite song from the album instantly. But it was always just kind of like this like hidden thing, because it was a track 5, right? And track 5s, if you know Taylor Swift, is like where her most personal song is. And that started with Dear John, which was on the previous album, and then this is like the track 5s to end all track 5s. But it was kind of this like hidden thing as like, oh, this is the one that critics say is Taylor Swift's best song and everything. But it wasn't a single or anything. Then now in like the last year, there's just been like this huge wave of, with the 10-minute version coming out, the 10-minute version like being at the top of the charts is crazy to me. That like this song, it's not, I mean, it's so far from being Taylor's most conventionally like appealing song. But the reason I think it resonates is because of that specificity in her imagery and storytelling is just incredible. And she, not just in this song, but in all of her best music, she makes you feel like you are experiencing and can relate to these situations even when you have never experienced anything like this in your life. Like, and I think that's just the gift of a truly talented songwriter is when they can put you right there in their shoes. And like, that line like that Bar mentioned, yeah, I think that's the one. So casually cruel in the name of being honest. Like, I don't know that I myself have ever experienced a situation like what she's talking about, but that line just hits so deep because it's just so beautifully written, and there's just so many of lines like that throughout the song and images like that where this is not just somebody writing the standard breakup song, right? Like, as much as people would like to pigeonhole her as, oh, all she ever writes about is breakups and blah, blah, blah. Nobody is writing about breakups with this kind of, again, specificity. Like, that there is no play acting or pretending going on here in this song. And this is just all her and all her pouring out exactly what she experienced and what her feelings are. And honestly, I think this is the right version. I mean, I am glad that the 10-minute version is finally in the world and that we have it out there, but there are a couple parts of that version that are not my favorite. And I had such a strong relationship to this song, obviously, for like 10 years before the 10-minute version was in the world. I just don't know that I'm ever gonna like adjust to being the one that I listen to. But again, I'm glad it exists. I'm very, very glad that this version exists.
Yeah, me too. And I'm also really glad that it gained the following and the popularity that it has now. It's one of those songs that I think a lot of people can agree is one of their best songs that was not released as a single that just gained a huge following. It's like Vienna by Billy Joel, Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin. It's like one of those everyone knows how great it is, even though it wasn't released. And I'm so happy that it got the following that it now has. As we move in
Canada, you would also consider Rockstar by Nickelback. That got huge before it
Okay, that was released as a
Moving
single,
on.
though. So
Moving
on. Yeah, yes, thank you, Mr. Producer Man. As we move on to number 68, Good Times by Chic. Scott, what are your thoughts on this one? It's very different from what we just covered, so.
Yeah, I mean, it is a good time up to a certain point.
Boo!
Obviously, I prefer Owl City and Carly Rae Jepsen's "Good Time," but no.
Facts. No,
it's always a good time.
It's a good time for a while. I just feel like this song, and last time, like when I was on, we talked about "Move On Up," the Curtis Mayfield song. I feel like songs of this ilk, they are too long, and they just try to coast along on the same beat and same structure to the verses and that chorus and everything. There's just not much variation in it, and some people enjoy that, where you can just coast along on the vibes for like 8-9 minutes, and it just you're just coasting on the vibes, like I said. But I don't know. For me, that's a good example of exact person I'm thinking of who would say that. But and that's fine. If that's what you're into, that's fine. You probably love this song. Yeah. Well, nobody is, but I think it's a good song. Like, Nile Rodgers obviously is a legendary producer and artist and like for dance music. So it's a fun one to like come on at a party or something, but like it overstays its welcome, in my opinion, at over 8 minutes long. Muted.
It's gonna happen at least once per episode. Yeah, I think the length hurts this song a little bit. However, I also think that in the right setting, the length is perfect. And here's what I mean by that. This song is the perfect song to be playing either during like an outdoor party or at a roller rink. This is the perfect roller rink song because it's got that groove, it's got that nice steady bass line, And if you are having a great time, as the song would hope you are having, it is the perfect length. If you were just listening to this by itself, 8 minutes is a little bit too long. So if there is a condensed version, which I'm sure there is, that's the one to be playing just listening to it by itself. I do want to say, though, I do think that this is a incredibly created song. The structure of this song is fantastic. They sound fantastic on it. The instrumentation and the production is glorious because everything's layered and spaced really incredibly. I love the piano in this song. Like the little flourishes that you get throughout it are just like wonderful little touches. Last time on the list, it was number 229. So, Brooklyn, do you think it's worth it earned that high of a jump?
I don't think that high of a jump. I think top 100 is a bit of a stretch, but I think just outside the top 100 would be really good. I agree with you guys. This is fucking long. Now Rogers is incredible, but it's like it's to the point where you almost don't need the drum kit behind. Like it's that percussive of a beat. You really just kind of need the beat, like the kick. I would love to go back in time and listen to this song and experience it before Rapper's Delight ever came out. Because as soon as that bass line, as soon as it cuts to that, after about like 30 seconds, I'm just like, all right, we should be going into Rapper's Delight right now. I think it just takes a little bit too long to build the tension. And if we're talking about greatest songs to throw on a roller rink, Estelle and Kanye West's American Boy would like to have a word with you. That song fucking slaps.
That's actually really not a bad choice. I'll take that one. But let's move on to number 67, which is Tangled Up in Blue by Bob Dylan. It seems like we're just going to cover Bob Dylan in every episode now, Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I'll go first with this one, though. I really like this one. I want to say it's like 6 minutes or something like that. And I think, unfortunately, the one flaw it has is that the melody is the exact same throughout. So it does get a little bit, you know what, Mr. Shut up. But it does get a little repetitive. But lyrically speaking, I think this is one of Bob Dylan's best songs. Just the imagery that he creates, the rhyme scheme that he uses in here, and just Bob Dylan himself sounds actually better than a lot of other Bob Dylan songs. He doesn't quite have that kind of quality to him, which I don't hate, but like melodically, he sounds really good on this one. Yeah, I really like this song a lot. I dig it. Once again, it's Bob Dylan showing his strength as a songwriter and having the lyrics really be the standout part. Brooklyn.
Yeah, this is probably my third favorite Bob Dylan song. I love that when this is used. This is used beautifully in St. Vincent. Bill Murray sings it at the end of the movie while he's just like on his lawn chair or whatever. I love the kind of the sameness, I guess, of everything. He has very like phonetically, it's kind of satisfying. Trying to think of the words here. And I was standing on the side of the road, rain falling on my shoes, heading out for the East Coast. Lord knows I've paid some dues, getting through. Tangled up in blue. The harmonica's using this really well. I love that kind of, not necessarily the lick, but like those three chords. I think it's G, D, G, D, A. And it just, I could hear those go on and on and on. But yeah, really good. One of the better Dylan songs that has aged quite well.
And Scott.
Yeah, this is like a very personal song. Again, you can tell if you just listen to the lyrics. He's singing from the first person and everything, and
or if you know the history of that album.
Yeah, like with All Too Well, it has some great specific details and everything in the storytelling that Just add to the authenticity. Um, Bob Dylan's voice is great. It's got like a little bit more of a country sound to it than some of his other stuff, which is cool. So yeah, I think this is probably it. Look, Bob Dylan again, he's probably the artist that has the most songs of any other artist on this list.
Definitely up there.
Yeah, him or the Beatles or Led Zeppelin or something like that. But I don't have any problems with being one of the higher ones of his songs on the list.
Well, it's definitely aged very well in the voters' eyes because last time it was number 68. So it's not, honestly, it's gone up a spot. So for it to have actually sustained where it is, considering some of the leaps and jumps that these other songs have had, means that it's actually held on to the public conscious very well. As we move on to number 66, Simon and Garfunkel's "Bridge Over Troubled Water." Scott, how about you start us off with this one?
Yeah, it's a great song. It's a beautiful song. However, I don't know.
Watch what you say.
No. I'm more just bugged about what didn't make the list from Simon and Garfunkel.
Oh, okay.
Which, we've
Big I
talked
Am a
about.
Rock fan.
No, well, I mean, it's a good song, but we've talked about two of my three favorite songs, like I said, on this episode. The other one is America by Simon and Garfunkel, and America did not make the top 500, which is
What?
crazy. I feel like this is just like it's a great song. It's a great album, but this isn't even the best song from the album. I think that this is just like the kind of the safe pick if you're talking about Simon and Garfunkel. Like this is probably their most famous song. It's very sentimental, like very easy to listen to ballad. Everybody knows the words and everything like that. But like when it comes down to their music, I don't know. It doesn't rank that high for me. I feel like this is they sold out a little bit by putting this as like the high. I don't know. I can't remember if there's a higher one on the list from Simon and Garfunkel, but I mean they're one of my favorite classic acts of all time, and so I maybe I just have a lot of opinions about what should not have been on here or where certain things should have been placed. So I like the song. It's very good, as a lot of Simon and Garfunkel music is, but this isn't like in the S tier for me from them.
Okay, Brooklyn.
All right, I agree that this is not the best song on the album. I think we can all collectively agree that the Boxer is the best.
Yes, that is the correct answer.
Yeah, Cecilia is also great. But yeah, I'm also kind of annoyed. Mrs. Robinson is not on here. I would probably put that in this spot if we're thinking of great Simon and Garfunkel songs. This is beautiful. Like I kind of came into this with like the pretentious kind of stereotype of like, oh, this is like the hipster kind of like, oh, like because you hear "Bridge Over Troubled Water" and it's like, oh, what could this song like really kind of be about, or what does it really kind of have to say? I think the piano work is incredible. Billy, I would love to have seen this song get handed off to Billy Joel, especially in this time frame, like knowing the songs that he would inevitably kind of do. Mm-hmm. This almost misses the landing, though. In the outro, there is something I haven't quite pinpointed it yet. I don't know if it's a snare drum or something, but it's just there's something that's over mixed and it's like it's kind of buzzy, and it ruins that vibe, unfortunately. But it is really good.
I love this song. Art Garfunkel sounds incredible on this. Like the deep emotional roots that man is digging is hauntingly beautiful. Brooklyn brought up the piano. I think that the piano is absolutely gorgeous. And as I said with Suspicious Minds and its guitar, that piano is one of the most memorable pianos I like the moment you start playing the beginning of it, I know instantly what song that you are playing. And Paul Simon's lyrics in this is just, Sail on Silver Girl is just a line in itself that is just absolutely beautiful phonetically. And what I love about this is the build. The build is so great. It's so well paced, but it's both subtle and grandiose at the same time. And then when you like get that explosion like just before the bridge, and then it builds back up with that excellent snare drum. Um, I I love this song. I wouldn't say it's my favorite Simon and Garfunkel song, but I think that it is just one of the best aged songs of the '60s or '70s actually. Wow, this was '70. I thought it was '69 for some reason. I'm a bad Simon and Garfunkel fan. Moving on to number 65, September by Earth, Wind, and Fire. So, okay. I got one thing wrong. I was off by a year, god damn it. So, Brooklyn, how about you start us off with this one?
As a child of September, I love this song.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Favoritism.
1,000%. This is one of the greatest like house party songs. It turns you around immediately. I was initially it was a trend whenever we were first doing the series, which is how polarizing some of the choices are. Like we're going from a super somber, beautiful song to immediately, do you remember dance? Do you remember the 21st night of September? I love the horns in this. The bass line in this is super catchy. I was playing it before we hopped on. The body, girl, do you remember dancing in September? The music video for this is borderline trippy, but it kind of works. But yeah, I love like it can turn you around so quickly. But yeah, this just the energy that this has is almost unmatched.
I want to start by saying, how is this the first time we're covering Earth, Wind, and Fire at all on this list?
That is surprising.
That is a crime. That is a music crime. That is music criminal case right there. Thank God Scott Harvey is here. I think that this song is incredible. The production is fantastic. The Earth, Wind, and Fire are just one of those groups that their harmonies are just like S tier, and their vocals are just like legendary in like the R&B funk kind of sphere. But the instrumentation on this song is incredible. There is not a single instrument on this that is not creating some immediately catchy rhythm or groove or anything like that. That guitar to open is incredible. And they all set, it's just like this fantastic euphoric sound that they create. Yeah, I am happy that it's here. I think this is an excellent spot for this song on the list. Scott, what are your thoughts, though?
I'm just gonna say it. I'm tired of this song.
Get the fuck out of here! What time is it, Scott?
Boo! Get him out of here! Boo!
It's so open.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you, Mr. Producer Man.
Thank you, Producer Man, fighting the good fight.
I really want to know who the mysterious producer is, but I mean, it's a good song. Like, I get why it's on the list. It's iconic, obviously. It's just I'm so tired of it. Like, it's overplayed. I mean, again, I understand. Like when it comes on, it's hard not to bob your head a little bit and whatnot. But I would never voluntarily listen to this because I have listened to it involuntarily so many times. That's kind of where I'm at with it. So if it comes on, I'm not going to be like turn it off and whatnot. But like I said, I don't have it in my playlist on Spotify. I'm not gonna seek it out. Yeah, I'm sorry too. They are my mom's favorite band though. So shout out Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Listen to more Earth, Wind, and Fire. The fact that this is the only song that we will probably be talking about them this entire series is wrong. But let's see if I'm wrong. As we move on to number 64, ListKrieg Bop by the Ramones. I mean, yeah, like absolutely. This song is a bop. But so anyway, the thing that
we lost him. So Scott, first time I heard this in a movie, I guess, or like first time I heard it contextualized was in Jimmy Neutron, the animated movie.
Okay, now Brooklyn needs to be removed.
Yeah. No. Oh, he's back.
I'm so mad, Mr. I feel betrayed. No, go ahead, Brooklyn. I'll follow you up.
But yeah, shout out to that movie. Also shout out to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. This is on one of the greatest video game soundtracks ever. Kind of the objectively best punk song. Just has those three chords, and that kind of like the gangy kind of vocals of "Hey, oh, let's go." You always you get to that chorusy kind of section, like what they want. I don't know. I'm all revved up and ready to go. I think is one of the best lines in this. It's kind of timeless. I don't think the song can really ever get overplayed, just because of how catchy it is.
Yeah, no, the energy in this song is crazy. This is the catalyst for punk music. Let's be honest here. This is the song that everyone, like the Sex Pistols and the Clash, heard, and we're like, we could do that. And the Ramones just have like this insane ability to create instantly memorable, high energy, high octave melodies and riffs, but jam them into like 2.5 minutes. This song does not overstay its welcome. As I said, the energy and the drive in the song is wild. It is just an instant pump up song. Scott, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is much more the type of vibes music I can get into than like Good Times, which we talked about. Like, yeah, I mean, like it says here in the article, the blueprint for punk rock. Absolutely. It is just sound and fury for like 2 minutes and 30 seconds or however long the song is, and you shout along, you bob your head, you rock out for 2.5 minutes, and then it's over. Like that's what it is. It's a shot of adrenaline, which is kind of what punk music is supposed to be. And I mean, this isn't like political like some punk music could be. But it definitely, I mean, the Ramones in general, I think, gave way to all of that. And so yeah, it's a great song. It's a fun one. It is what punk music should be. And I don't have any problem with it being put on the list here as like a representative of the genre.
Yeah, absolutely. As we move on to number 63, Jolene by Dolly Parton. Scott, let's have you start us off with this one.
You have to start with the Tennessean here again.
You have to, yes. Well, I would be thrown away if I didn't.
Arguably, our most revered citizen is Dolly Parton. Great person, great artist. This is her, crowning achievement. This song. It is like, I feel like every single country, like breakup or relationship song, like moaning about your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever song, is an outshoot of Jolene. Like, would not exist without Jolene. And again, it's a simple song, about another woman coming into the picture, and trying to take away your man. Nothing revolutionary, not revolutionary topics here, but country music. there are only a number of topics that it covers in general, but this is like the best version of this type of country song. And Dolly sounds great. I like the driving guitar, like the up tempo. It has a nice propulsion to it that um, you know drives the song through. And again, it's short. It's like 3 minutes long. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It tells the story it needs to tell. It knows that there's not a whole lot more that needs to be said or heard, and it gets in and gets out. It's an awesome song, and the White Stripes have a great cover too.
Brooklyn.
Yeah, I agree with you, Scott. This is deceptively simple. In band, there was a song that my instructor always used to use. It was called it was like Pink Cadillac, and it was why I'm referring to that song is that his band teacher would say, you guys can try and play this song, and if you guys play it perfectly, I'll get you guys a Pink Cadillac. I would do this with Jolene, and I'll challenge, or not challenge, but like I get
no challenge them, Brooklyn. Go ahead, do it.
No, I get any guitar player to play this, and if they get it perfectly, like I literally get them 20 grand because this is incredibly hard to get that same kind of vibe. I've heard so many like cover bands dumb down this song into kind of like a more ballady tune, but that guitar is so tight, and just how it keeps that momentum, like Scott was talking about. I think the steel guitar in this as well is used really well. So often it's the steel guitar is kind of seen as an afterthought, but it's blended in really well, like even when she's singing. But yeah, no, whenever I saw this on the list, I was like, oh, okay, this is a bit high. But then whenever I heard this original version, I was like, oh shit, this is why it's here. Because the original, probably the word of the day, unmatched.
This is a perfect song. This is oddly a song that can be played at any speed on your record player or CD player, and it will still somehow sound incredible. I accidentally played this at like a lower speed once, and I was just like, oh my god, this still sounds amazing. But yeah, as Scott said, it's a short song, and I think a lot of people tend to forget how short this is. I think that there's only maybe 2 verses. It's like chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, plus a little instrumentation, if I'm not wrong. And if I am, it's because this song flies by. But it's so rich and detailed. He talks about you in his sleep, and there's nothing I can do to keep from crying when he calls your name, Jolene. And even the way that she just describes Jolene, your voice is soft as summer rain, is just some beautiful, incredible imagery. This song is amazing. I will also say that if you haven't heard Diane by the singer-songwriter, like country singer-songwriter Cam, she does her own song, but from Jolene's perspective, and it's also incredible. Not as good as this, but definitely still worth listening to. And so, with that recommendation out of the way, let's move on to number 62, One by U2. I'm going to start us off because I've got a cool story. So apparently, Bono was in like some kind of like hotel or something like that when this couple rushes up to him. And they're gushing about how they love U2 and that they're like one of their favorite bands. And at one point, apparently, they say, One was our wedding song. And he apparently looks at them and he goes, you idiots, that song is about a breakup. It's just one of those great moments of people completely misinterpreting a song just because it sounds beautiful. And this song does, but it's got this rich, haunting texture to it. The Edge's guitars have like this dark, melancholy kind of feeling to them, even though they sound wonderful. And I think that's the biggest strength of this song is the tone of the production and the instrumentation and Bono's delivery. but his lyrics also are just incredible. The whole thing about love is a temple and you force me to crawl and like that entire little section, it's just worded fantastically. Um, it's not my favorite U2 song. We've actually covered that on the list before, but this is the one that seems to have struck a nerve the most with the public, and I completely understand why. Brooklyn, do you like this song, or do you prefer the Mary J. Blige collaboration?
Yeah, no, I prefer the Mary J. Blige version. But that's
Oh my
one of my
god!
that's like
Wow.
my favorite part. No, the Mary J. Blige version is actually really good, but this is also great. I love that. I love that section in the end. I'm obviously kind of simplifying it or whatever, but it's what makes the Edge stand out. He keeps that Celtic sort of influence in his guitar playing. Um, it's much more rhythmic or whatever. But yeah, I was surprised at how much I love some of the lyrics in this. Like I'm kind of paraphrasing it, but "Are you here to play Jesus with the lepers in your head?" I think is just
That's a
is
great
a
one too.
really really cool line. But yeah, Bono definitely gets, I think, not overlooked, but there was a time where it was kind of cool to hate on them, and I feel like they're kind of getting back into the, oh yeah, U2 is actually kind of good.
Scott.
Yeah, it's very close to being my favorite U2 song, if not my favorite. This is like the perfect version. I mean, this is like the perfect U2 song, because I feel like everything they've done, like a lot of stuff that they've done since then, has been like pale versions of this. And like when people think about U2 nowadays, they think about like, oh, like the cheesy, like we put our album on your iPhone, like we want to save the world, like, all that kind of stuff. Um, and this song is kind of all those things, but like it's so much, it's not as over the top or clunky about it as they kind of are nowadays sometimes. And
Mm.
again, they're trying and failing to replicate this, but I mean, this song again, it's about like unity and coming together and people from different backgrounds, like, finding things that connect them. But it's, written again with a lot more nuance than maybe we've come to expect. So I think this is like the best version of U2 doing their inspirational, rock type thing that they are kind of known for. So it's a great song. It's a great pick for U2 on the list.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that. Let's move on to number 61, "Stairway to Heaven" by Led Zeppelin. Brooklyn, okay, good. You don't have your guitar, because this is that. No, no, you're not allowed to play this in our guitar store song. Let's have you start us off, Brooklyn. Don't.
It's been a minute. It's been a minute since I played the riff, so you guys are not gonna hear the intro. But
Woo!
yeah, um, the probably the pick if your other favorite Led Zeppelin song if you don't actually like Led Zeppelin. Um, First time I actually ever performed this was a karaoke with a friend. Did not know the song in its entirety, so it was kind of like half-assing along with it. But I love the build that it kind of makes. I think it's like a tin whistle at the intro is really cool. But then you get to that ending part, like there's a wind on down the road, and I think that's where that build off kind of pays. Um, my favorite story of this song is that there's a radio station in Vancouver, and a DJ and a host actually refused to play the song, and got a personal thank you note from Robert Plant saying like, you understand why we hate the song. But yeah,
Scott, do you hate the song as much as Led Zeppelin apparently does?
Robert
No,
Plant
I
is
don't think they actually do hate it. And I want to bring up too that I should have posted this in our chat as well for y'all to watch, but you may have seen it before. The version from the Kennedy Center with Ann and
oh
Nancy
yes, Ann
Wilson
Wilson,
from
yeah.
Heart
Yeah.
singing this song is incredible. Like for as great as a song as this is, like that cover is almost on the same level. No one else, like, obviously so many people have tried to cover this song. No one else should ever try to cover it again after the way that Ann and Nancy Wilson did it. And like, again, if they hate the song, they do a good job of hiding it there because like they keep showing their reactions because they're in the audience, the band members, and they're like very moved by the performance. But yeah, this song is like, putting all the memes aside, it's still a great song. And I feel like so many songs, like structurally, have tried, like, any song that is like, a longer, more epic, freewheeling rock song that like has a slow build and then like closes up with, you know, in your face, like, the most rocking part of the song, and is building up to that the whole time. I feel like it all comes from Stairway to Heaven. Like, I feel like this is the song that created that type of song structure for a rock song. And like, I have, so many favorite songs that um, follow that same sort of progression. Um, yeah, it's great. It's maybe, I don't know if it's the best song or not. I don't. I'd have to think about that. But yeah, like, this is one where, like, I said with Simon and Garfunkel they made the safe pick. I think obviously this is like the safe Led Zeppelin pick, but like it's also maybe the right Led Zeppelin pick to have this high. Like, I would definitely entertain arguments as to why other songs deserve it too, but like this song is awesome.
Yeah, I kind of agree. It's not my favorite Led Zeppelin song, but I think if you're talking about technicality, I think that this is arguably their best song. Um, and I think you're right. It comes down to that structure, the just like the different sections of this song are so perfectly like strung together. It's like this beautiful quilt almost, which is weird to say about like a song with like this kind of edge and like rock star quality to it, comparing it to a quilt. But that's kind of what it is. Um, just like the soft opening with that, I think it's a flute. Um,
Hmm.
just like creating this incredible tone to start off with, and just the mastering and the layering and the mixing and the space of where all of the instruments are placed in the production. It's absolutely perfect. And Robert Plant sounds incredible on this song. Um, I get why it's reached as many people as it has and it's become as popular as it is. And I think that it is a massive staple in the history of rock and roll. As we move on to number 60. Whoa! That is not
Whoa.
60. Number 60.
Scroll button's getting a little slick.
So number 60. Yeah, okay. Number 60, Kate Bush, Running Up That Hill. Scott, what are your thoughts on this piece?
Not better than Stairway to Heaven or All Too Well, that's for sure. We're common people. This song is fine. Like, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of her voice. Like, it has like an operatic quality to it that I don't know. It doesn't like work with this type of pop music to me. Like, I think the production and lyrics and everything are fine. Um, and it has a good propulsion to it. But like, something about her voice, there's just like a disconnect there between that and what's happening sonically. So that's kind of what holds me back from it. There's a pretty good cover of the song by First Aid Kit, but it's just like, it's not one of my favorites. Kate Bush is just not one of my favorites in general. I know she's a big deal, but it's just one that has never really connected with me.
Brooklyn.
Yeah, I kind of echo what Scott is saying. In this section of songs that we're talking about, it's kind of, this one kind of falls to the wayside, and I don't think it's necessarily within its own fault. It's a good song, but we're now in that sphere of talking either A tier or S tier, and I don't think this has. Give me a few more months, I think, to kind of listen to this, and this may be in a conversation. The production is a bit not jarring, but it definitely kind of sits in that 80s vibe. And that's been a little tougher for me in terms of sell.
There's a reason I saved myself for last for this one because I love this song. And you want to know who else I think really loves this song? Goatye. This is exactly the kind of song I feel like Goatye was heavily inspired by. With those giant, epic, angelic, choir-esque kind of production, especially the yeah, 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 sprinkled throughout the verses and the lyrics. I think that this song sounds absolutely incredible in its beautiful, epic scale. This is a song that I think if you're not playing this really loud, it doesn't necessarily have the same. Um, I also love Kate Bush's voice personally. I kind of understand where Scott's coming from, but I'm on the opposite end where I love it. It's got this really beautiful texture to it. And I think lyrically, it's just a very interesting song. It's a song about kind of wishing that you had the opportunity to see things from a man's perspective a little bit better by being a man, and for like men trying to have the reverse as well. I'm not saying this right, but basically making a deal for men to be women at one point and women to be men at one point, just so we could see the different perspective and understand each other better. And I think it's a really well written song. This song was nowhere on the list last time, and it's also one of those songs that like I knew existed, but for some reason in the last couple of years blew up out of nowhere, and I don't know where the catalyst for that explosion is. And I'd be very interested for someone who has a better idea of that to tell me, because I'm happy that it did, but I just don't know where this explosion of love for the song came from. But I'm happy it's here personally. Will I feel the same way about number 59? The Message by Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. Let's have Scott start with this one.
Hell yes. This is in my top 10 hip hop songs probably of all time. This is so much fun. I mean, from that first, as soon as it comes in, as soon as that, production that everyone knows comes in, right at the beginning, you're in for a good time. And like, this was like pioneering for rap music. I mean, Rapper's Delight obviously was like the first rap song or whatever, but this is right there along with it. That the production is great. It's iconic. The rhyme, like the rhymes bouncing back and forth between the different members, fantastic. Like so many just memorable quotes. You have the recurring motif of "Don't push me because I'm close to the edge." Like again, the bones are all there of like so much rap music that would come in the decades after Grandmaster Flash. Um, but it's also like so there are verses that like hit hard. Like it's about growing up on the streets. Like it's like about real stuff too. So it has everything that you would want like in a hip hop song. Like it has the fun, party aspect to it, but also it has that perspective that music was missing at the time probably, and that we certainly got in the decades to follow, but that we wouldn't have gotten probably without the Sugar Hill Gang and Grandmaster Flash and people like that, the very, very early pioneers of hip hop. So this song has not aged today. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, I think that there's one verse that's aged, and I don't think it's aged very well. Outside of that, I think you're right. I think that it still resonates today, sadly. Um, I think that this is one of the best beats ever created for a hip hop song. It is instantly memorable. And I think everyone is delivering on this song. I think everyone's got a lot that they're fighting for, which is driving the energy and the rage that is like underlying a lot of this. Um, yeah, and for something as long as it is, it keeps changing because of everyone's different unique style. And I think that it's just like this epic, incredible piece that has, aside from that one verse, has aged fantastically. Brooklyn.
Yeah, no, I agree. One of the best beats ever. I love the synth in this. I love the little pockets that it kind of creates. Like especially how it's kind of like offbeat the like "Don't push me because I'm close to the edge" kind of sounds. And you can hear it too, like whenever they're like whenever they come in, it sounds like they're kind of coming into a wave similar to a surfer. And where like how that kind of dictates how they have their flow in their beat and whatnot. But yeah, no, one of the best hip hop records, one of the best songs of the '80s. It's definitely earned its spot.
Absolutely. Moving on to number 58, we go from The Message to The Wait by The Band. I'm going to say Brooklyn for last because I'm almost positive I know where he stands on this, so I'll go first. Yeah, this song's incredible. Everyone sounds fantastic, and I think the one thing that I love the most about this is the chorus. Just the layering of like the vocals and the harmonies is just incredible to listen to. That and you put the load right on me. It's fantastic. The unit this band as a unit is just so locked in together. And they have like this really warm, rich sound to their instrumentation. It's got this really nice folksiness to it, which is just instantly inviting. And yeah, this is a great piece, and it's just a lyrically interesting piece as well. Take a dive into those lyrics; they're really fascinating. Scott, what do you think?
Yeah, this is just like a great, like classically American folk rock song from, an era when that music was big. Um, it, it, um, the chorus, obviously very memorable, makes you want to sing along. Um, Great imagery throughout. Uh, yeah, I don't have too much to add. I mean, everyone knows the song. It's a classic. Been used well in several films. It definitely has this cinematic feel to it. Watch The Last Waltz. I guess that would be my last comment because yeah, you certainly hear the song in there.
I've been wanting to watch that, and I will get to that
It's good.
eventually. Brooklyn, what are your thoughts? As if I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna hide my cards in this one. This is my favorite song to perform. Um, this one gets brought out a lot during like open mic and like guitar groups and whatnot. It's for a song that has 5 verses. It is not long. Like I could play this a million times. Um, we're talking again about lyrics that grab you right away. I pulled into Nazareth, was feeling about half past dead. My favorite verse in this is probably the last one. Get your cannonballs down and take me on down the line. My bag is second low, and I do believe it is time. Although it has brought up an interesting conversation. Some people think that take a load off Annie is like Annie taking a dump on somebody. So we're kind of like, how weird does it get?
I really hope that is not the case.
No.
Ew.
Yeah. But yeah, I love the piano in this. The harmony in this is great. Levon Helm is a great vocalist. But like kind of like that marbliness that he has in like the verses of like Crazy Chester followed me and he caught me in the fall is incredible. One of the best like highway rock songs. Like I feel like this is the perfect song. If anybody's making a movie driving down in like the middle of the afternoon on a long highway, this is the needle drop that you use. Incredible.
Yeah. As we move on to number 57, Family Affair by Sly and the Family Stone. I'm going to start. It's really good. It is really good. I think that it sounds great. I think the production on Sly's voice is really cool. But we already had Everyday People. Everyday People is the song that should be at this spot. This is real high to me. It's just one of those songs that like I understand that it sounds fantastic, but there's just something about the song that just doesn't resonate with me the way it does with other people. So I think that this is I think that this is just kind of a little high for me personally, Mr. Producer Man. Brooklyn.
Yeah, this song is just fine. This is probably going to take a big dip next time around. Sly's delivery on this, like how he kind of hits those lower notes. It's better than Good Times. I think this is the better song to throw on in a roller rink, and I think that's kind of the best vibe for it. But other than that, it's just fair.
Scott.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you that Everyday People is the one. Like, that's the one that should have been where this was. It's still a good song. It's just much more low key. Like, I prefer the upbeat, feel of Everyday People as well. But it's a cool song. Sly Stone is like one of the coolest dudes I feel like to ever do
Oh yeah.
music. Just watch him perform, and he just owns it. And it's cool to think about the song in the context of the band themselves being sort of their own little family. So there's a lot to like about it. I just think like we already had the better song from Sly.
So apparently, according to my separate list, last time this was at number 139. So this has actually gone up in people's minds, which, yeah, we'll see if it does stay that way, Brooklyn, or if it does fall, like you said. But as we move on, we're going to move on to number 56, Work It by Missy Elliott. Someone's going to do it, so I'm going to say it first. So with that out of the way, Scott, let's start with you.
Yeah, I mean, they really like Missy Elliott. What can I say? Rolling Stone is a big fan of hers. Look, she's got some great songs, like again, the mid 2000s rap R&B scene, especially for female artists. Like she was obviously a pioneer and everything there. Um, the song has great snappy production to it. Everybody loves to sing along to that chorus. Um, some of the lyrics are fine. Like the verses get a little raunchy, I guess, which it is what it is, but it's not necessarily my thing. Um, but yeah, it's I mean it's a fun song again for the chorus alone. It's memorable. But I think there's at least one or two better Missy Elliott songs. One has already been on the list. One may be to come. Who knows?
Brooklyn.
This is better than Super Duper Fly. But producer man, get the banner on here because this is absolutely about sex. I fucking adore this song. As a child of the 2000s, it's incredible. I love the kind of like the non-rhotic delivery. I guess you would say that she gives it in the lyrics, like "Boy, lift it up, let's make a toast, let's get drunk, that's gonna bring us closer." I was initially gonna have, and like I was initially gonna open this with like, "Mom, do you have Cardi B at home?" And then the mom would be like, "Don't you dare disgrace the name of Missy Elliott ever again, because Cardi B will never hold a candle to what Missy Elliott has been trying to do. Like it's not over the top and like in your face, but it's just subtle enough to be like, oh yeah, this is fucking awesome." And Missy Elliott, I talked about it with Corey before. Missy Elliott is just the right amount of weird, and it fits so well in this time. And it's a really good song.
It's pretty explicit about it.
Oh, very much so. Oh, the Cho-Cha line? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think that Timbaland is top tier Timbaland. It's like F tier Timbaland. And Missy Elliott is just a wrecking ball of personality. Like she's one of the best hip hop artists ever when it comes to like flow and style and personality, and like it's her whenever she hops on. I will say, though, as a lyricist, she is sometimes real inconsistent. There are some great moments, like the Halle Berry poster line that I love, that it's just like perfectly written. And then there are some lines like the when she goes over like all the men of different nationalities, and she goes into that really cringy Chinese part where I'm kind of just like,
Early 2000s.
yep. Uh, but yeah, I totally understand why she's here. I think that she's definitely the lead inspiration for a lot of like the Cardi B's, the Megan Thee Stallions, the Doja Cats, the Saweeties. She's probably like the main driving force and the main inspiration behind a lot of them. So I understand why this is as high as it is. I don't think it should be as high as it is, but it does deserve a spot on this list.
Crazy talk. That's
Fine.
Is it worth it?
But moving on to number 55, we go into Madonna, another big influence with Like a Prayer. I'll start off. Yeah, this is not my favorite Madonna song, but it's arguably her best song. It's sort of like the Stairway to Heaven thing, where it's not my favorite from that artist, but if I was asked what is technically their best song, I would say it's Like a Prayer. Even if you don't like Madonna, you like this song. And I've learned that from multiple people who have said that they don't like Madonna, but think that this is one of the best songs they've ever heard. That melody is my favorite part of this song. There is something so instantly sticky and memorable and just catchy about that melody, as well as it just being incredibly heavenly, if I'm going to say it. And she sounds amazing on this song. When the choir comes in, it's just this giant euphoric moment of passion and love. And the instrumentation is just top notch. I can't say too much more about this. Scott.
Yeah, I mean, it's very clever the way, obviously the song is like, oh, our love and your touch and everything is the thing that's like a prayer, it's not meant to be religious. But she's using the trappings of like religious music to, like have some fun a little bit. Yeah, this is number one Madonna song for me. Like the way it oscillates between, again, like that a cappella basically intro, and then it builds up, and then and it feels like home is that last lyric, and then and it just comes in with that dance beat, and it just you want to go nuts. Like I love this song, and it keeps kind of, like I said, oscillating between like these more like, again, almost like choral hymn passages, of just her and the choir backing, and then the traditional dance stuff that you're more used to hearing from Madonna. But it's an epic, it's a true epic, and it's just a great pop anthem.
And Brooklyn.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to feel about this song. This is kind of this song kind of fits the theme that it's kind of been in this section. It's a great song, but the lead singer isn't necessarily the best part of it. I feel like in an alternate universe where we're doing not sure. But I feel like in an alternate universe where YLS is doing like a top 40 of the best top 40 songs, this needs to be in there. The production is incredible in there. Like the guitar on this is blah, words are hard sometimes. The guitar on this is great. The bass in this is good. Like you guys mentioned, the choir vocals on the end. But yeah, Madonna is weirdly kind of being outperformed by everything else in this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not absolutely.
Yeah, not absolutely. We can argue about that later. But as we move on, we're going to move on to number 54, The Tracks of My Tears by Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. Brooklyn, what are your thoughts on this song?
Okay, I need to ask a question for the statesman here. Is Smokey Robinson like bigger in the States? Is he like huge?
Oh, in the U.S. I mean, yeah, he's a very significant Motown singer.
Yeah, he's kind of a cornerstone artist for us.
I'm not. Yeah, I don't know. He's good, but I haven't found that thing yet to kind of be like, oh, he's awesome. Before this list, like before this list or before like really kind of delving into these artists, my only knowledge of Smokey Robinson was from the Proud Family, and they stand him pretty hard. Anytime he comes in,
I remember that, and I loved it.
But yeah, I'm kind of losing some chances. Like there's only going to be a couple more songs before he gets the overrated conversation.
Wow! Fuck you. Thank you. I think that Smokey Robinson is one of my favorite artists of all time, personally. His work is solo-wise and with the Miracles, especially with the Miracles, to be completely honest, is just absolutely incredible. And this song is just one of those great moments again of just like his willowy but still beautifully powerful and emotional delivery is just gorgeous. Once again, the production, that Motown production, it's just wonderful to listen to. And it's just one of those lyrical things, just like that idea of the tracks of my tears. And it's another one of those pretending to like be happy and jovial around other people, but if you look closely enough, you'll see the tracks of my tears. It's just like S tier Smokey. Scott.
Yeah, I mean, when you put it like that, like I guess I get it, but like my main problem with the song is that it is like a little too jaunty and upbeat and like that slick Motown production when you consider lyrically what he is, trying to get across. And the fact that it is sad, he's talking about crying. And I don't know. It cheapens it a little bit for me. I guess there is a little bit of, oh, it's all about the disguise of it, and so we're also disguising it in the way that the song sounds. But it doesn't necessarily work for me. But it's a good song.
Okay. Also, real quick, I completely forgot to mention this for the last song. Like a Prayer last time was number 306. So it's actually like really increased somehow.
Yeah.
And thank you, Mr. Producer Man. I appreciate you. But yeah, and this was number 50 last time. So this is actually kind of hung around, which is nice to see. And all right. So, and with that, we're going to move on to number 53, Good Vibrations by the Beach Boys. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little shocked that it's here and not higher, but I'll get into that later. Scott, how about you?
I mean, there's one other Beach Boys song you pretty much know is going to be higher than this. So,
I mean, fair.
I guess I get it. But yeah, this song has maybe some of the greatest harmonies of all time. I mean, the Beach Boys in general, like, do, but like the harmonies on that chorus and again like the layers to it is like it never gets old. It's perfection. Um, the like when they go into the lower register a little bit, I'm picking up, it's great. Like the things that they're doing with their voices and in this song, like the vocals are really the draw of um, this song, and it is, yeah, it's iconic. It's maybe my favorite Beach Boys song. It definitely belongs on the list. It's a super fun one. But yeah, I mean, like I know it's not going to be the highest Beach Boys song, and like I don't have any problems with what I know is to come.
I want to both agree with you, Scott, but also disagree with you at the exact same time. I do think it's a great, fun piece, but I think the strength of this is the motherfucking wrecking crew and the instrumentation here. Just the cellos in particular, that is just like this incredible propulsive sound, and just like this incredible layering, and just like the way that they work to like the instrumentation just works together to create this new like sonic kind of sound. as well as Brian Wilson's production. But I also just think the structure of this song is great. It's broken down into like different pieces if you think about it, and it's doing that in like a relatively short song, like an average size song. So I think this song sounds incredible. Brooklyn.
Yeah, echo what you guys said. This is easily my favorite Beach Boys song. It is the best Beach Boys song, and it should be in the top 25 like greatest songs ever. I love the layering in this, like you're talking about the bass notes and the bass especially has such a key role in this because the key changes a million freaking times in this. It kind of makes it hard to cover and kind of like throw it into a guitar riff. What is going to keep this song and kind of in that 60s vibe though is that theremin solo. It's cool.
Oh yeah,
it kind of leaves it a little bit there. But then you have that solo, it cuts off, and it's like, gotta keep those love good vibrations happening with her, and then it cuts right back into the chorus and like doesn't skip beats. Yeah, there's that, and then if we're talking Brian Wilson, we gotta talk about the great Burning Lady song, Brian Wilson, which should be on this list. Like it is the best Burning Lady song and easily like a top 200 song.
Okay. So last time on the list, do you guys want to guess where this was?
I'm going to say 25.
Yeah, I'm going to say higher probably than where it is now.
Number 6.
Oh, wow. It was that high.
Okay.
But
I think as long as it stays in the top 100, like anywhere in the top 100 is fine.
Yeah.
It takes a dip out of there. And when this probably gets passed on by like Thank You Next or if that.
Oh my God! Please not by that song at least.
All Too Well. Just gonna pass it.
We'll see in the future. Number 52. I Feel Loved by Donna Summer. Scott seems to be enjoying himself. Let's have him go first.
You just instinctively, again, the beat starts playing in your head. This is a really cool song because it's mixing like the classic disco of Donna Summer and like her sort of ethereal voice with Giorgio Moroder like being the big thing in dance music and like using it a lot more electronic, like fatter sound for like lack of a better phrase. It's not like this clean disco that you're used to hearing from Donna Summer. It's like it's much more synth heavy, like electronic sounding, like sounds like it's from out of a robot or something. Like that's Giorgio Moroder. Like his production is very recognizable. And so just the combination of those two sounds makes for something really cool. It is, even though it is a little bit of a longer song, like I don't know, that beat is just like it's just an earworm, and it just they're able. It's one of those rare ones where they're able to ride it out for like the full 5 minutes, and it never gets old. I think again because it is contrasting with like Donna Summer's very high register, like ethereal type vocals, which are kind of at odds with the production. So I really like the song.
Oh, give it a mouse again, Brooklyn.
The song is cool. I think I'd probably put Bad Girl above it in terms of Donna Summer songs, but this is heavily influenced by Kraftwerk. This makes me kind of want to listen to Kraftwerk and that style. Like it's very like it says in the description, like that Eurodisco synth pop sound. And that's kind of a cool kind of mashup, and it kind of makes me wonder, like, if those two bands ever collaborated, what they kind of make. But yeah, I'd love to hear this. Like, I'd love to hear this in a dance club now and kind of see like what the generation below us kind of think of it.
That's an interesting question, actually. So I really like this piece, but to me, it's not a Donna Summer song. It's just not a Donna Summer song to me. It's a Giorgio Moroder song, but that doesn't mean that it's any less good. It's one of those 8-minute ones that sometimes I feel the length and sometimes I don't. And I think it's just because it's got that as I think Scott brought up, that Kraftwerk kind of propulsive repetition to it, where it's doing the same thing throughout the entire song, just with like subtle changes, but it still works because it just keeps that rhythm going for the entire time. This is another roller derby song, in my opinion. I do want to ask, where do you guys think that this song was on the list last time?
I'm gonna say probably like 190-ish.
418.
Jeez.
All right, so this was in that group of the songs that took from the 400s and are like top 100 immediately.
Some drastic changes.
Yep, and I would be willing to bet that the EDM crowd was highly influenced.
Yeah,
I would actually, yeah. Now that you mentioned it, I would love to hear this at like Tomorrowland.
Mm-hmm. Actually, that'd be really interesting. As we move on to the last song on our list, Dionne Warwick's "Walk On By." It's weird. I really like this song a lot, but it is an incredibly simple piece. Dionne Warwick sounds amazing. It is a very beautiful song. The melody is great. And the instrumentation is just fantastic. The production on this, the space that they give to those horns, it just sounds amazing. It's a very simple piece, but it's a very, very beautiful piece to listen to. So I don't know if I would put it in the top 100, maybe in the 200s, but or I mean like in the 100 to 200 range. But I like this song a lot. I just don't really have much to say about it. Brooklyn.
Yeah. For anybody that's following along at home, this is in our sub list of Burt Bacharach songs that we didn't necessarily know were Burt Bacharach songs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. My only knowledge of Dionne Warwick before this list is that she opens the second verse of "We Are the World," and that was all that I knew beforehand.
I swear that the ways that you know artists are some of the most deranged things like that I've ever heard.
But yeah, no, I agree with Andrew. Simple song. The horns in this are really cool, but just how I digest music and how I fall in love with music, the instrumentation. There isn't anything to really kind of grab onto, so this is going to take a while to kind of take in the lyrics and what kind of story she's trying to tell.
And Scott.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's nothing I explicitly dislike about the song, other than that it's just kind of in a genre that is like a genre that I listen to less than pretty much any other genre. But it just feels like this list that we had tonight had so many incredible, like iconic, we had Good Vibrations, we had Stairway to Heaven, we had Jolene, like, just all timers. And then we end up with this and it's like, like, okay, like, sure, it's a good song, but is it better than the 24 other songs we just talked about? I don't know about
It was
that.
number 70 last time it was on this list.
If I was more of an R&B head, sure, I guess, but I don't know. It's just it feels weird to talk about this at the end of, like, again, the list that we've just recapped.
Yeah, it's a weirdly anticlimactic ending for a song that I still think is great. It's just like when you compare it to some of the other songs, they're just kind of like in the American lexicon a little bit more, or the Canadian lexicon. But still great.
I mean, if we're talking Canadian lexicon, we haven't talked about Bryan Adams, Shania Twain.
Good. We have not talked about Bryan Adams. That's great.
Arcade Fire.
Arcade Fire, yeah.
All right, but with that, we've reached the end of this list. So what I'm going to ask, instead of what song would you bump into your top 100, is that if you could pick one of these songs to be in the top 25, what would it be? And now that we are in the top 100, actually, you have the option to say none of them. But I'm going to start with Scott.
It's definitely not none of them. I don't know. It's kind of a flip of the coin, I guess, between Common People and All Too Well. I guess I will say Common People because I think that Pulp again is not talked about nearly enough nowadays. I mean, if you're from the UK, you probably know them a lot better. But I mean, everyone knows Taylor Swift. At this point, everyone knows All Too Well. I think that song thankfully has gotten its second life and with the 10-minute version and is now iconic and everyone kind of appreciates it like I have. But Common People again, Britpop people think about Blur and Oasis. Pulp unfortunately has been a little bit lost to time, at least here in the US, and so I would like for people to discover the song and discover Different Class, the whole album in turn.
Fair enough. I'll go next. I feel like I end every time, and I want to share the love to Brooklyn. This is arguably the hardest section of the list that I've had to pick. And I think there's so many great choices that I would consider, like Yesterday. I think Suspicious Minds is a really great song. Bridge Over Troubled Water, of course. September, Jolene. Like Prayer, Tracks of My Tears, Good Vibrations, Geez Lou. I guess I'm gonna go with I forgot about All Too Well as well. You know what? As much as Yesterday is my favorite Beatles song, I think if I were to pick arguably Running Up That Hill as well. I'm gonna go.
Make
I'm
up
gonna
your
go with
mind,
September.
man.
I'm gonna go with September. I think that's just the best. Yeah, seriously, Scott. So shut the fuck up. Brooklyn.
It's not Arcade Fire though. But yeah, as much as I love Good Vibrations, and as much as I love Orcus, and as much as Jolene has risen in terms of how much I love it, and like ListKrieg Bop, I think can also be in top 25. But
yeah,
the Wait is a top 5 song in my opinion. It's a rare 5-verse song that isn't too long.
Yeah. With that, we have reached the end of this episode. Scott Harvey, thank you so much for joining us again. We always appreciate your musical take, even when you're on crack. Now we will definitely be having you again. We're planning a big end of list episode.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming again. We appreciate you. But Brooklyn, we did it. We reached the end of another episode.
I'm getting excited for this like Christmas. Like one more sleep until the finale. We have one more show and then the big old finale.
Yeah. We also have another great guest on next week to end the
regular segment, I guess we'll say.
Well, we'll say the regular segment before we get into the end of list episode. Let's just say our next guest is arguably the most opinionated man on the internet. But with that,
Reading Leonard Maltin?
Yes. Thanks for spoiling it. Spoilers. Thank you. But with that, for Scott Harvey, for Brooklyn Vale, and for myself, Andrew James Barr, this has been Like 500 Stones, and keep on rocking.